I started preparing for my baby shower at 33 weeks pregnant, and my little house in the suburbs of Portland, once quiet, was now filled with pastel balloons, cardboard boxes, and cloud-themed invitations. I didn't hire a planner. No one offered to help. I handled everything myself. Every dish, every ribbon, and every song I carefully chose for the playlist. Despite my limited budget, I wanted everything to feel right. I ordered a vanilla cake with lavender buttercream from my favorite bakery, even though I knew it would stretch my finances. I chose a light mousse filling, thinking it would be easier for everyone to eat, especially my grandma, who always complained about sweets hurting her teeth. I went grocery shopping on Saturday morning, despite the aches in my back and swelling ankles, and carried the bags home by myself. I arranged everything on the kitchen counter, then sat down, catching my breath. In silence, no one asked if I needed help. My mom said she was busy at the school library, and my brother Caleb was too focused on getting ready for his high school spring formal. But I kept going. I tidied up the living room, wiped every window frame, and cleared out all the leftover, moving boxes. I washed the ivory tablecloths, carefully pressing each crease flat. I had one small hope: a peaceful afternoon, a little warmth, and the sense of being seen, not as someone who made a mistake, as my mom once said, but as someone about to become a mother, doing the right thing for the baby girl growing inside. Me. I stayed up until midnight the night before, hanging tissue garlands strand by strand using craft store glue. No one held the ladder as I stretched to tie them up high, but I didn't mind. I told myself that maybe, just this once, they would show up for me. Maybe after all the work I'd put in, they'd finally smile, hug me, and tell me I did a good job. I didn't need big words or expensive gifts. I just needed them to see me as part of the family, not the invisible one, left behind every time it was Caleb's turn. The morning of the party, I walked into the living room, looking around one last time before the guests arrived. The early spring light filtered through the curtains, casting a soft glow on the handmade sign that said, "Welcome, Baby Emma." Beneath it was a small table with pastries, fruit, and a pot of chamomile tea I'd already brewed. I gently placed my hand on my belly, feeling my baby kick as if she was excited too. I wasn't expecting a picture-perfect party, just hoping for a moment where I could be the main character, without interruptions. Then, my mom tapped her fork against a glass, and the room fell silent. "Before we cut the cake," my mom said, in a strangely sweet voice, "we have some exciting news to share." I froze. My heart began to pound, already knowing what was coming. The kitchen door swung open, and Caleb walked out holding a bright red envelope. "I got into Princeton," he shouted, his face glowing. The room erupted in applause. People clapped. Aunt Margaret gasped. My mom's friends cheered and rushed to congratulate him. I looked around. No one was looking at me anymore. No one noticed the lavender cake I ordered with "Welcome, Sweet Emma" written on it. They were all gathered around Caleb, who had never lifted a finger to help around the house, the same Caleb whose tutoring bills I had paid for 2 years. The cake was pushed aside to make room for the pizza someone ordered. The music got louder, bouncy hip-hop, Caleb's favorite, completely, drowning out the soft acoustic guitar I had picked for the party. Caleb's friends barged in, none of whom I had ever met. One guy in a backwards baseball cap shouted, "Party's on, bro!" and fired up a Bluetooth speaker, shaking the walls like it was a graduation bash. I stood there, holding my lukewarm chamomile tea. My mom-to-be sash slipped off my shoulder. No one even asked how I felt. No one mentioned the baby. The gifts were shoved into a corner, the Emma banner hidden behind a hand-drawn sign that read, "Congrats, Caleb Princeton." A bottle of soda spilled across the table, dangerously close to the cake. I knelt down to clean it up. My knees throbbed from kneeling, and my belly pressed against my cotton dress. As I wiped away the sticky frosting, a blonde girl brushed past me without saying, "Excuse me?" Caleb's booming voice filled the room, talking about campus tours and dorms. I kept cleaning. No one stopped. No one saw me. Everything revolved around Caleb, just like always. But this time, it was different. I forced myself to stand back, my aching hands sticky with frosting and soda. I looked around the crowded room full of people who weren't really there for me. My mom was telling a dramatic story about how she sacrificed so much to help Caleb reach his Ivy League dream. My dad nodded, like he personally raised a genius. No one mentioned the person about to give birth. I walked out of the noise, clutching my belly, and went into the kitchen. I washed my hands and quietly climbed the stairs. The music continued downstairs, the laughter and cheers like echoes from another world. But in my head, one thought remained. This time, they crossed the line, and I wasn't going to let it slide. I sat on the bed, my legs stretched out and back propped against pillows, hands cradling my belly like a silent shield. The laughter downstairs felt like dull blades scraping against my chest. In the house I bought with money I earned from sleepless nights, handling returns and making it through low sales months, they celebrated Caleb's success, and it never felt like mine. I slowly closed my eyes, trying not to cry. I remembered being 11, when my favorite purple princess dress was shredded by school scissors, and Caleb just shrugged it off. I remembered being offered a spot in a gifted science program in 8th grade, only for my dad to dismiss it because it cost money. I remembered how they never asked if I needed help, and when I tried to share my achievements, my mom always dismissed them. I pulled out a gray folder from my nightstand. Inside were the house deed, utility bills, and a file I'd been preparing for weeks. I ran my fingers over the first page. This was proof I hadn't imagined the unfairness. The next morning, I stood in the kitchen, holding a warm cup of peppermint tea. The house still smelled of spilled soda and melted frosting. I wasn't hesitating anymore. I pulled 3 white envelopes from the drawer. Each one was labeled clearly, Diana, Mark, and Caleb. Inside was a 30-day notice to vacate the premises and the property deed showing I was the sole legal owner. At exactly 7:15 a.m., my mom walked into the kitchen. She stopped when she saw the envelopes. "What's this?" she asked, still groggy but with an edge in her voice. She picked up an envelope and tore it open. After reading a few lines, her eyes widened. "Oh, this has to be some kind of joke, right?" I stepped into the room, calm and steady. "It's not. I've already sent the official letter. These are just copies for the family." She looked at me like I'd just announced I was selling the house to strangers. "Move out? How could you write something like this? This is our home." I looked her in the eye. "No, Mom. This is my home. I bought it. I pay the mortgage. I cover the utilities, the internet, the plumbing repairs. It's all me." My dad came in, groggy and frowning now. "What kind of stunt is this? You're pregnant and now you want to cause stress in the house?" "It's because I'm pregnant that I can't keep living like this," I said, placing a hand on my belly. "I don't want my daughter growing up in a house where her mother is ignored and walked over every day." Caleb finally wandered in, hair a mess and headphones still around his neck. "What's going on? Why is it so loud?" "She's kicking us out of the house," my mom hissed. Caleb looked at me like I was the villain in a movie. "Are you serious? Just because I got into Princeton yesterday? That was no big deal." I let out a dry laugh. "It's not just because of yesterday. It's because of every day before that. Every time you got favored and I was told, you're the girl, you should be more understanding. Every time I achieved something and Mom said, don't brag too much. When I got pregnant, everyone acted like nothing happened. But when you got that acceptance letter, the whole world stopped spinning for you." My dad tried to smooth things over. "Come on, Allison. Everyone says things they don't mean. Don't blow this out of proportion." I cut him off. I paid for this roof. Mom told the neighbors the whole family built this together. Caleb wrecked his car. I paid to fix it. No one ever asked if I was okay. And then when I threw a party for myself, the whole family turned it into someone else's stage. There was silence. I'm not doing this out of hate. I'm doing it out of love for myself and because I refuse to let Emma grow up in a family where everything comes at the cost of silence and self-sacrifice. Caleb took a step back. So, where are we supposed to sleep? A hotel or something? I've planned it, I said. I have a list of short-term rentals, movers if needed. One of my friends even offered to help pack. You have 30 days. My mom stared at me with wide eyes, unable to comprehend. Maybe she never really did. I walked out of the kitchen, leaving stunned faces behind me. Each step was a reminder that this time I wasn't backing down. I chose myself. In the days that followed, the house felt like it was holding its breath. My mom called Aunt Hannah, crying, and Caleb blasted music in his room. But I kept moving forward, focusing on my baby, my work, and my peace. Day 30 arrived, and my family, packed in silence. Caleb, the last to leave, stared at me and said, "You'll regret this. No one's going to stand by you forever." I just nodded and said, "I don't need anyone standing beside me to be myself." The door closed behind them.